Hey everybody, I'm Adam Seltzer from Mysterious Chicago and author of the new Graceland Cemetery book that is coming out next year through University of Illinois Press. So it's going to be lean times for a tour guide this year, so I thought we'd make a couple of videos and maybe build up towards doing virtual tours. To start with, we're going to do a few little clips about people who are members of a group called the Chicago Zouaves. Now, in the 1850s, a lot of men joined militia groups, but it doesn't seem like they took it entirely seriously. It was kind of like joining a bowling team today. It was a lot of boozy male bonding. But an exception was a group called the Zouaves, originally founded by this guy, Joseph Scott. Now, he was a teenage military enthusiast. He formed this group that had a lot stronger discipline. It went to the next level when he formed a partnership with a guy named Elmer Ellsworth, who turned them into a really crack drill team. They went on tour and it was the hit of the year. The drills that they did are usually described as being more like Cirque du Soleil than military drills. And they became a big hit. Abraham Lincoln was so impressed that he had Ellsworth come with him into his law office after the tour and then took him to Washington after he became president. But when the war broke out, Ellsworth raised a whole new regiment of Zouaves using mostly the New York firefighters. So with these guys stationed in Washington, one day Ellsworth looked across the river from the window and said, "Hey, there's a Confederate flag flying over a hotel. Mr. Lincoln, I shall have that flag." So he stole the flag, but then he was murdered by the hotel owner on the way down. And this was the first real Union casualty. It's impossible to overstate what a big deal this was. It was just absolutely galvanizing to people. And for a couple of weeks there, Elmer Ellsworth was the most famous person in the world. There are still streets and towns named after him all over the place. And meanwhile, Colonel Scott went on to joined the 19th Illinois. He was the youngest colonel in the state, mainly because of his association with the Zouaves. Now, you can see here down at the bottom is his catchphrase. During the Battle of Stone River, the general shouted out, "Who will save the left?" And Scott shouted back, "The 19th Illinois." And I always kind of imagine the rest of the 19th saying, "Wait, what?" But this was a big thing that people wrote that expression into a song. It was a huge catchphrase for a while, and I kind of feel like you must have had to be there, but it was a really big deal. And we went on to win that battle, but Joseph Scott ended up dying of the wounds he received a couple of months later. He had been sent back to Chicago. He was buried here in a very large plot that was given to his widow, but his widow remarried and disappeared, so now he has a very large plot here all to himself. So let's go out. We're going to see a couple of the other Zouaves. As we move along here, one thing I have barely touched on is how the Zouaves dressed. Bright red caps that are often described as fezzes, and bright red pants that I can only really describe as MC Hammer pants. But it was a very popular outfit. That soldiers were dressing like this seemed endlessly modern to people at the time. Even Tad Lincoln had his own Zouave outfit. So I guess you could say that I did too. I was about the same age when MC Hammer pants were big that Tad Lincoln was during the Civil War. And I really love the idea of the image of the Zouaves charging into battle to the strains of "Here Comes the Hammer."